Hello, my name is Mordred Viking, and I'd like to welcome you to this special War of the Worlds 8-player Stellaris multiplayer game that we had going. Summary. In this, I basically just wanted to take a moment to kind of describe everything that's going on in the galaxy right now. Partially this is because we have actually reached the end of all the pre-recorded footage that we have had, and I wanted to make sure that there was still something up on the channel to keep this series fresh, and also to kind of advertise the fact that there will be another stream which will be continuing this game on the 18th of June, kicking off at 9 AM British summer time, so that is 10 AM Central European or 4 AM, I'm so sorry about that, Eastern Standard, and even earlier Pacific Standard. I'm afraid that's just the times that we could do. It will, however, be running all day, so if you are unable to make the beginning, then we should be going on for like 8 hours or something like that, and you can just catch us later. Or, of course, we will be uploading it here onto YouTube. Now, what I was planning on doing was actually going into observer mode so we could see the entire galaxy. I did actually do that very, very briefly, but it was giving away just a little bit too much information, so I quickly closed that and have not taken any of it in. I do know where the 8th player is because I've not met them. He's actually up here. What was it here? He's around here somewhere, and that is Bussy, and that will be all of the other human players that we have since met. This area over here is basically entirely made up of NPCs, and apparently multiplayer games do generally do that. It does try and lump the human players together in these clusters of different empires, and I guess it's 2 clusters because we are all kind of over here. So first up, and I'm going to see if I can remember all of the players so I can do a bit of an overview on each. I'm not going to try and give away too much information here, but I thought it'd be interesting just to get a little bit more detail on each player. So we will start off with ourselves. We are, of course, Mordred's magnificent monarchy here in the centre in nice royal shade of blue. We are expanding pretty quickly. Actually, if we have a look here at the empires overview, I can give you a bit of an overview of each of the empires. So here we are, it's 12 planet, 67 population. I think we're actually one of the highest, one of the largest right now. Although if you look at the actual borders of the different nations, it might tell a slightly different story. We're very consolidated, but actually very, very big. So that is us. We are a military dictatorship, which means that we have a larger naval force limit, and it also means that our upkeep is cheaper. Our fleet currently is a little bit small, but it's easily built up. We are getting a decent number of minerals, and there are of course some tensions between us and the Izulian Galactic Commonwealth up here, and they actually stole one of our planets, which was here in Sci-fi. That was before we'd actually discovered them. They decided to attack us there, and as soon as one mining station was destroyed, it suddenly blipped back into their control. Not entirely sure why that happened, because we had actually colonized the planet, and so technically it was in our borders, or it should at least be in contested borders, but no, it just flipped, which is somewhat annoying, but you know, so it goes. We have got some people down here, so we have Tome down here in the Royal Najaklax Hives and Magic Card Maker in the Saldaean Consortium. Magic Card and I have got a number of trade deals, as do we and Tome actually. I was a little unsure about Tome in the beginning because he tends to play a very manipulative game. I mean, I can say this because he was saying how I play my game in one of the comments. I think it was for episode 1 or 2. So now I'm going to get to talk about him a little bit and his player style generally. He's actually a very good strategic player. I used to think of him mostly as a tactical player, which is how Igel plays. But no, he's actually very strategic, and he's very good at kind of the diplomatic game and playing different players against each other. So he was worried when he realized he was next to me. I was kind of worried that I'm next to him, but he can also be a very, very staunch ally. So if we're able to get an alliance with him, that would be fantastic. And I'm kind of leaning towards some kind of positive relations here with the Saldaean Consortium. And, you know, I like to be friends with everyone, except Igel and Bussy, because they should die. So yeah, that's our relations with them. So we might as well go around each of the different groups in order just to get a bit more of a lowdown on what they're doing. This is not something I particularly wanted to do when we were actually playing, because I'm just going to be talking the whole time rather than letting the different players get their interaction. But you know, I thought it was important to try and get a little more detail out there so you guys could kind of understand more about what was happening on the global stage. So here in the Royal and Najaklax Hives, we have a Enlightened Monarchy, you can ignore the AI personality. This is just a save game that I've loaded, so AI have taken over everyone, but we're just sitting here paused, so it doesn't really make any difference. They are fanatic, collectivist, pacifist. Oh, that should remind myself. What am I? We are a militarist fanatic. Sorry, yeah, militarist fanatic materialist. I always get those two kind of mixed up. So we're good when we're at war and we get more influence from rivalries and we get more science output. So we're actually pretty tech savvier right now, I think. So us compared to Tome, who was the Royal Nuglax people. They have equivalent fleet power, equivalent naval capacity, and equivalent tech. They've got 9 planets to our 12 and 52 population. I think they're actually in second place population-wise. I do wish there was a button just to go to self. So we have 67 to their 52, and that's not too surprising because they are fanatic collectivist and they're pacifist and they're an enlightened monarchy, which I think all three provide growth bonuses. Actually, I don't know what an enlightened monarchy does. I kind of wish it would tell you when you hover over, but it doesn't. So yeah, he's going to be a very fast-growing people with very, very high populations, which means he's going to have an awful lot of production, but also potentially some happiness issues later on down the road. Although if he is spiritualist, he's not. He's going to have potential problems with happiness. Is there much more to say about them? Oh yeah, he was very worried, I know, early on about being kind of blocked off in this little area, and that's entirely reasonable. He would have been blocked. However, he did manage to get a little enclave down here in this area, and that might provide some border tensions between them and the Crusader collective, played by Chaos Gemini, and of course their ally in the Transport Finance League. And the TFL is actually being played by Tome's brother, so there's always going to be some little familial disputes there, I'm sure. Right, so that is Tome, I think, pretty well covered, so we'll talk about the Saldarian Consortium. This is played by Magic Card Maker, and he is an individualist, pacifist, materialist. Okay, lots of ists. So he is going to get energy, he's going to get science and growth. And he is himself a science directorate, which is another science bonus. So his tech should be very, very high. In fact, you can see the differences here. Fleet power is equivalent, which is kind of surprising. All of us seem to have very small fleets, considering the point in the game. We have been playing for 39 years? Does it start in 2200? I'm not actually sure about the start year. I'm going to guess it's 39 years. Their naval capacity is inferior. That's because we are actually quite big, and our government also helps on that. And our tech level is actually equivalent, which I'm somewhat surprised by. Although I guess I am a fanatic materialist, which kind of balances out his science directorate. So actually, yeah, okay, we're roughly equal. I've not played any games with Magic Card Maker in the past, so I don't really know how he plays, but he does seem to be playing a very diplomatic game right now, making friendly overtures towards both Tome and I. We both, I happen to know, have some pretty long-standing trade relations, and he does have a bunch of embassies, and that's because of him being a pacifist, so he's clearly trying to befriend a number of people. And yes, you can see the number of trade deals we have. This blue and black one is me, and this golden one is Tome. No, it's not. Yes, it is. Royal Nuglax Hives. Sorry, I was looking at the top name. And a number of unknown empires, which I'm going to guess is the AI people over here. So he's actually pretty well positioned being a pacifist, because he could potentially befriend the AIs and build up something of a diplomatic alliance type thing. Although we know nothing about the personalities of these guys, so we can't really say. The Pithok commonality, I think, is just an AI player. Let's see if we can find one of their planets. Yeah, they are currently trading with the Saldane Consortium, and they are rivals with the Nuglax Hives, and xenophobic isolationists, so they're going to hate everyone. Okay, so that is one rather aggressive AI down here, and they seem to have expanded down into this area, so they're actually fairly large. How are they doing militarily? Equivalent to us and everything. Okay. Tone we've talked about, so let's move over to the Chadraziri Collective. That is played by Chaos Gemini, another colleague. Both Magic Card Maker and Chaos Gemini are colleagues of mine. I've played against Chaos Gemini in some board games, but not online digital games. So again, he's another kind of wild card in terms of how things are going to play out. He is also a science directorate and materialist, so his technology should be good, although he is apparently inferior in pretty much everything. I do know that Gemini has been having problems with minerals rather, and so his growth has been rather stunted. I believe that both he and the TFL have suffered some military problems early on against pirates, so they were beaten in a couple of fights. So they had a very, very slow start. However, that has also meant that they have developed some pretty strong bonds between them. So they're getting a pretty solid alliance. And in fact, I think they were the first alliance to have been built. So they are in the Collective Delicious League, the CDL, apparently. Um, so what else can we say about them? Number of planets, 5. Population, only 31. That's half. That's less than half of what I have, for example. So I think that these guys will be a rising power. They did attack and vassalize the Demersanian Dominion here, which annoyed me, quite frankly. And I think it might have annoyed Royal Nuzlocke's hives a little bit. I was kind of hoping to grab them for myself, or at least make them an AI ally, because we were actually very, very friendly, and we still are. So that might well provide some tensions, although I'm a little bit reluctant to start something between Igel and myself, although I don't know for sure, I think that Igel can't actually reach me yet. I don't think he's got the technology for it. We'll have to wait and see. So what else can we say about Chaos Gemini? I think that is more or less it. Yeah, see, most of his deals are with the Transport Finance Act. It's so confusing because TFL means Transport for London. That is why he's called like the Greater London Authority and the Victoria Line. These are all the things run by the organisation known as the TFL, Transport for London. The government run like transport grouping in London itself. These are played by Tin Tuna, who, as I said before, is Tome's brother. So I have played against him a number of times in different games, and he tends to do very well or very badly. I can't really note down his particular tactics. He tends to be a little more chaotic in his strategies than other players, so he's usually a bit more of a wild card, a little more unpredictable. However, he is a very staunch ally. If you do get him as a friend, he's very unlikely to backstab you, in my experience, though he might well prove me entirely wrong in this game. I don't know. He might well backstab Chaos Gemini, but like I said, they have some pretty strong shared bonds there, so I can't really see it happening. And he is the overlord of these chaps, which again will be causing some potential problems between us. He has got 6 planets and 43 pops, so he's got not very many planets, but actually pretty high population for the number of planets that he does have. If we compare that to ours again, we were at 1267, so yeah, he's not doing too badly population-wise. Although still not even close to what Tome and I are doing. Let's see the equivalents. He is a superior fleet power, so yes, these two have both been building up militarily. I think that TFL is currently trying to protect Chaos Gemini, particularly because they were at war with these guys, so I'm going to guess that that is a holdover from that and their equivalent and everything else. That their equivalent in naval capacity is somewhat surprising. They must have been upgrading their star bases. Again, that's probably to maintain the fleet that they've been having. Both of them have been having some economic issues. They're not being able to expand very much in these areas, apparently. And they, of course, have this border with the Yak-Kolok Ascendancy, who is a fallen empire. And these are the xenophobic fallen empire, so you don't want to get too close to them. So that could well cause problems between these two in the future. And if it does, then they'll probably lose maybe everything up to the Northern Line. They'll definitely lose the Piccadilly line, though. So that is something that they will need to look out for very, very carefully. And that is something that Chaos Gemini should probably bear in mind in the future as well, because if they're in an alliance, they'll get dragged into this fight against the Fallen Empire. And Fallen Empires are ridiculously strong. You just need to watch the upcoming couple of episodes in my Stellaris single player game to see that. I just had to look over at my schedule to see how far ahead that would be. It's only actually, this might come out on the day of those battles, possibly just after, so watch that series and you'll see what I mean there. Right, let's move on to the next one. We'll talk about Smoker, which is played by Frozen. Frozen is Bussy's brother. So again, a little bit of a familial tie going there, and both of those are actually my cousins. So, how does he play? He plays a very, very long game. He will turtle and turtle and turtle and turtle, then explode and take over everyone. So really, you kind of need to keep the pressure on him. You need to make him uncomfortable, and you need to make him make mistakes. And actually, him being so small would kind of suggest that that is precisely what's been happening. I think he was actually one of the first ones to seize new planets, but he has since slowed down. He is adjacent to a lot of AI, so we have the Gnogian star hierarchy here and the Sovereign Durin Confederation. I think he might actually have vassalized them both. No, he's actually allied to one of them, and he did vassalize the other one. I'm pretty sure of that. So he's actually gone for the AI route, trying to befriend them, and he's vassalized them as well. No, these guys have vassalized them, and he's vassalized them, but these two are allied. That's the agreement going on there. I don't actually know what the diplomatic relations between Smoker and the Arzelian Galactic Commonwealth are. Neither do I know if this entire arm over here has any other players in it or not. Like I said, I only loaded up the observer mode for a couple of seconds because I realized it was loading up all the hyperlanes, and that was information I did not want to know. So I closed it as soon as I noticed that was a thing. So I don't really know what's going on over here. I've quite frankly haven't just seen it yet. So yeah, Smoker I think was kind of wedged in. He's obviously managed to break out and get across this gap here, so he's potentially got all of this area to expand into, which would make him quite dangerous because he would be big and he would be isolated. And again, he likes to turtle, so that is a problem. He has a despotic hegemony whose abilities I honestly don't remember. I do wish there was a way of bringing that up, but I don't think there is. No. He is a Zinho. I didn't talk about that for these guys. Hang on, before we go back to Smoker, let's take a look at the TFL. They are same as... No, they're Xenophile Fanatic Materialists. So lots of technology, although with direct democracy they won't. And then Xenophile means they're better with AI empires, although they haven't really got any relations with any AI, so Xenophile is somewhat wasted, although once he starts conquering other stuff and maybe integrating these guys, then that will become a benefit to him. And that has meant, the Fanatic Materialist has meant that he's managed to keep up in technology. What were these guys? Individualist, materialist, individualist, materialist, militarist, material. Like I said, those two always kind of screw with my head for some reason. So yeah, those are things. They're the science directorate. TFL was a direct democracy, which is I was playing as the United Oathsworn. It is good for building up influence if you're able to complete the missions. However, once you've done the missions, then it is actually a bit annoying because it will continually reduce your leadership pool by one, basically, or just steal a leader from somewhere in your empire and make him your leader, and they won't actually function in their old capacity anymore. So if it's a particularly strong scientist, for example, or even worse, like your admiral, it can be crippling for the 4 years that the election lasts for. Is it 5 years? No, I'm pretty sure it's 4 years. Right, that was them. So Smoker, what was his specials? He is a Xenophile, militarist, materialist. Lots of materialist. I think materialist is just very, very popular because it's science output. And it needs some negatives. I think it's slightly overpowered. And then militarist, obviously more rivalry, influence, army damage, and war happiness when you're at war. And he is a despotic hegemony. Like I said, I don't quite remember offhand what that does. He is inferior in fleet power, inferior in naval capacity, and equivalent in tech. So I'm not surprised he's equivalent in tech, because he does tend to do lots of technology to try and get some very small but very, very elite fleets. However, he has obviously not been building very many ships, so he might be a little bit vulnerable, except for his allies. Speaking of his allies, how are they doing? They're equivalent to everything except in naval capacity. So again, that's our huge size showing up there. He has got 4 planets and 24 populations. He's a bit on the small side. I think he was roughly the same size as Chaos Gemini, wasn't he? There's one of your planets. Let me click on it. 531. No, he is in fact smaller than Chaos Gemini, so I think he might actually be the smallest player yet, but he was struggling in the beginning. Although I think he was actually the first one to get a... No, he was the second one to get a colony. I think Igel was first, Frozen was second, and then I think I was third. Something like that. Okay, let's go over to the big red blob over here, the Izulian Galactic Commonwealth, and this is a player one should not underestimate. Tends to play very aggressive, tends to play very stubborn. Sorry, Igel, but you are. And he is definitely one of the strongest strategy game players I know. I mean, he and Tome, quite different play styles, but equally adept. So while Tome will play the more diplomatic game, Igel is all about the military game. He is a true tactician. He is very, very strong. Don't fight him in tactical fights. Try and beat him just through attrition and overwhelming numbers, because one-on-one you will lose. He is an individualist, fanatic materialist, so more energy to pay for his ships and then lots more technology to ensure they are strong. His fleet is superior. He has less naval capacity. That's good to know, actually. Very good to know. My fleet can potentially be bigger than his. Okay, good. And our technology is roughly equivalent. And he does have a vassal, which is the Zophon League. And whenever I read that, I keep on thinking of Zalful, who is one of the other players who often plays with us, but is not this time, unfortunately. But that would be hilarious if that were true. So, how big is he? He has got 5 planets and 37 population. He's a fair bit smaller than us, less than half the size. We are rivals, so we... Oh no. I got an embassy with them? No, we have not... Yeah, we are rivals. Sorry, I was taking both the icons together. No, we are rivals. I think we're even mutual rivals. No, they have not rivaled us, but we have... Really? Well, we have rivaled them, but they have not rivaled us. And he is in an alliance. It's not telling you what the alliance name is here, but I happen to know it's the Anti-Monarchy Gathering. Said for obvious reasons. Like I said, there was that source of tension here in Sci-fi. He told me not to settle it, and I settled it anyway. That's what Akrana's holding here was, and then we had the weird glitchiness where I lost the planet, even though it hadn't been attacked. He does have a larger fleet. I think he did say that he has a 1,100, 1,200 strong to my 500, 600, 700. But I think in the process of building more ships, so I would be able to counter his threat there. And like it said, his naval capacity is less than ours, so if it did come to a conflict, we would currently be the stronger, except for the fact that he is allied with Bussy, who is back here somewhere. I forget precisely. I have a feeling it's him. I think it's here. I think. And as we know from the Clash of the Titans game, Igel and Bussy do like to pick on me a little bit. We have Spain and Great Britain here. They are allied. I don't know whether that's a historical tie or just because kind of an opportune thing. I don't seem to recall them talking about any shared conflicts. Maybe they both attacked the Zalfin League. I'm not sure. But if Igel gets too big, then that might worry Bussy a little. Again, I'm not sure. And in fact, Igel does seem to have a little colony established there, so whether that's going to be creating border tensions between the two, I don't know. I think that's all the players talked about. Yep, I believe so. So I hope that little breakdown of how things are looking in the game right now is helpful. Like I said, we do have the stream going on the 18th of June. So I really do hope that you will join us for that. I hope you're enjoying this series, most of all, of course. I love these multiplayer games. I definitely want to continue doing them, and I definitely want to do more in the future. And it's actually kind of super exciting. Having looked at the 22-player game which Paradox did, their first session, their first 8 hours was a little bit dull. And I have a feeling it's a similar thing with us. You have this slow but steady build-up. And then after those 8 hours, once you start getting the alliances and the rivalries begin to establish, that's when things really begin to shape up. And I think that is the stage that we are just reaching. Like I said, we have the conflict between us two, we have the potential conflict down here, we have the potential friendships forming here, we have the Frozen being something of a wild card. We don't really know what he's doing. I don't think he's very close to these guys, but I don't know for sure. I have a feeling it's just going to be more isolationist. These two obviously a very, very strong alliance. Tome and Magic Card, a little bit of a wild card, though I think we're friendlier towards them than we are towards these guys. And yeah, I think that's all I can say about things right now. I do hope that you've enjoyed this summary. Please do let me know in the comments if you are. And if you have any questions for me or any of the other players, do drop them down there. I'm pretty sure that most of the other players do read the comments. And I know, for example, that Tome commented in the second episode when we discovered, or we suspected, that we had a joint NPC, a joint neighbour, I should say, and he wasn't sure entirely where I was and how close we were going to be, and whether we would have this border rivalry going, because it could well have happened, and could well still happen. I'm not ruling that out. It's just that we have trade agreements here and rivalries here, so it's less likely, but not impossible. I think that the game coming up is going to be really, really interesting, whether it breaks down, the various alliances break down, or whether we get more solidified alliances, or what happened to the AI over here. I mean, this is a big question mark. I mean, you have basically half the system, which we know basically nothing about. So that could throw up a lot of questions as well. Yeah, I think we're in for a really good time. So, like I say, I really do hope that you will join us on the 18th, kicking off at 9 a.m. British Standard Time, 10 a.m. Central European Time, 4 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, or 1 a.m. Pacific Standard. I think that's all my maths being right. I hope to see you there. It will be a stream, and then after the stream I will cut it up into half-hour segments and continue releasing them on YouTube. We have not yet arranged the game after that, but I'm sure there will be one coming at some point. So again, hope to see you there. Hope to see you in the comments. Please do like this video if you're enjoying this series. Please do let us know in the comments if you have any questions, or if you just have any tips or advice for any of us, or you just want to chew the fat, or whatever the phrases. Yeah, I think that's it. About anything like what's going on in the game. Before I sign off fully on this, I did mean to mention as well, there will be a subscriber stream, which will be on the 19th of June. So it'll be the day after the multiplayer stream that we have going here. That subscriber game should be a lot of fun. I really do hope that a lot of you will join us. It will be happening in the evening as opposed to the morning and afternoon. I don't know precisely what time yet. I will let you know as soon as I do. I'm pre-recording this so that I have that kind of stopgap, because I know there'll be roughly a week without Stellaris content, and I wanted to make sure that we kept in touch about those things. So yes, that stream, multiplayer subscriber stream, will definitely be happening. If you want to create your own custom empire, then please make sure you have it ready and you join us from the start of the game. We won't be adding new custom empires once the game is already started. So please be prompt. Arrive a couple of minutes early, perhaps. Again, we'll get into more of the details about precisely what's going to happen there. And it's going to be a hot drawing game, so you can drop in, drop out, as and when you are available and when you are able to play. And I very much hope to see you in that as well. So, 8-player multiplayer, 18th of June. Subscriber multiplayer, 19th of June. I very much hope that I see you for both.